question for you guys. What is your favorite post-Endgame Marvel movie? Give me a personal favorite or just a top 3. My personal favorite, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I love that movie to pieces, but I definitely want to hear your answers in the comments section. And now let's talk about the 35th Marvel movie in this cinematic universe. Captain America Brave New World is directed by Julius Ona. And the plot of the movie is Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, finds himself in the middle of an international incident and must discover the motive behind a nefarious global plan. So if you guys followed my channel, you guys know I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I've always been excited when a new Marvel movie drops. I was really excited for Captain America Brave New World after they released The Falcon and Winter Soldier. That was a great series on Disney+. And I'm so glad to see Sam Wilson take on the Captain America mantle after Steve Rogers gave him that position. And for all you movie lovers or people who just listen to the movie news, you guys know this film has gone through a lot of reshoots, a lot of reworking when it comes to the story. At this case, I don't mind reshoots. I just want to see a really good product. And despite all the controversy, despite all the changes within this film, I still went into this movie blind and hoping for a good time. And unfortunately, I didn't really enjoy this movie. I was a bit disappointed. I'm not gonna hate just to hate, but just hear me out and let me explain my thoughts on Captain America Brave New World. So let's start with the positives here, and I gotta say Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson is phenomenal. I feel like every MCU project he's in, he always excels as a character, and it always gets better and better. And the fact that now he's playing Captain America is very, very cool. I love how he's trying to be his own version of Cap, despite other people telling him that you're not Steve Rogers, which yeah, he's aware of that. He doesn't need the super soldier serum to be a badass or a leader, because he's still compelling and knows how to be stoic and take care of situations. And whether it's on the ground or within the skies, I do feel like Sam has some really cool fight sequences. Some of the hand-to-hand combat is pretty fun to watch. And even if the script does feel messy at times, at least Anthony Mackie's doing the best he can with his charisma and just showing a sense of hope within the nation, and him being a really good leader. And aside from Anthony Mackie, I really enjoyed Harrison Ford playing Thunderbolt Thaddeus Ross, originally played by the late great William Hurt. I feel like he slips right into this character, and there's a lot more political intrigue involved considering that Ross is the president. And I do feel like Harrison Ford does give a great performance. It's very compelling. There's a lot of grit to him, and just some of the conversations between him and Sam are some of the best moments in here. It was also great to see Isaiah Bradley played by Carl Lumbye in this film. It just further develops the relationship between Isaiah and Sam, and one of the more reasons why Sam wants to help Isaiah during a really bad conflict. And just that relationship alone, I would say, is the heart of this movie, and I kind of wish at times they would just push more into it and give a little more screen time, but for what it's worth, I still think it's great. But look, I'll give Marvel props where props are due, and that is pretty much answering some of the questions that the audience had within other Marvel movies, whether it's the Incredible Hulk movie back in 2008. Yeah, I know it's crazy, but they resolved some of the questions in this film, and the Eternals, where within the last moments of that movie, a celestial being is coming out of Earth and it's stuck in the ocean. So, you know, they bring up those moments in Brave New World, and I appreciate them just answering on why that's being happened, or at least mentioning it, that it's a real thing in this universe. And that leads to my negatives of this movie, and that is the story itself feels way too bloated. I feel like there's way too much going on to the point where it feels like a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, or there's just too much conflict being focused on Celestial Island and people want to harness the material within that location. This movie should have been about Sam Wilson as Captain America, a first time where we get to see this character lead his own movie, but instead it gets thrown in with all these MCU connection where there's no room to breathe. And I feel like that's not fair for Cap, because it kind of falls into that victim of, like, you know, we gotta tie in all these loose ends that we didn't get to resolve in other films, so let's just put it into a movie that is meant to be focused on Captain America, but at times it it doesn't. Kind of reminds me of Avengers Age of Ultron, where that movie tries to focus on adding way too many plot points for future Marvel movies, and we kind of just forget what the main movie is about. The pacing of this movie feels too rushed or too slow, and even some of the fight choreography in this film is not the best. It doesn't feel clean or has that punch and grit that we normally see in other MCU films. This one just feels way too jumbled and not too fluid, which is a shame because I would say most Captain America movies have some great action sequences, but here it just kind of falls short. I mean, maybe the best scenes in this film are probably Cap versus Red Hulk, but you've probably seen most of that within the trailers or promotional images. Some of the supporting characters in this film are interesting at times, but I feel like everybody's just there just to be there for like exposition dumping or added to the last minute. And I feel like there's a lot of characters in here that were in the main original story, but kind of got cut out within like the last minute, which is a shame because there's really no other character that I feel like had any memorable scenes. I feel like the most wasted character in this film was Giancarlo Esposito as Sidewinder. I feel like he could have been a great villain, but he was just there for like 5 minutes and they didn't do much with him afterwards. Instead, our main villain is the leader that was introduced in the Incredible Hulk movie back in 2008, and I feel like he plays like a half-baked version of Zemo from Captain America Civil War, where he's on the sidelines planning ways to ruin Ross and Cap, and his plan works, but it doesn't feel like it was compelling or there was any high stakes involved. And it's a shame because this movie has potential to be great, but I feel like they just didn't know where to land in the editing room, whether they had scenes shot and they just didn't want to include it, or maybe they just weren't brave enough to show a story that they originally had, that maybe they're afraid that other people would judge. But in this case, they gave us, an entertaining movie with no value. I just wish they focused more on Sam Wilson being Captain America. I feel like there were so many themes being developed within his own TV show that could have been explored a bit more in this film, but instead, it's just a movie just to have an excuse to bring up some of the questions that people had and answer them in this film without giving a compelling story that people will look back and really remember. But before I give my final score of this movie, please like this video, comment down below what you thought about Captain America Brave New World, and of course, what is your favorite Marvel movie post Endgame? I would definitely want to hear your opinions down below, and subscribe to the channel because I do release movie reviews on a weekly basis. So my final score for Captain America Brave New World is a 2.4 out of 5. I'm not sure if it's a high recommendation for me, but I still feel like it's still enjoyable enough to watch. I mean, it is pure eye candy, but that's all you're gonna get. Nothing else that's gonna make you feel like you remember some really cool moments in this movie. Maybe the Red Hulk fight sequence, which you could probably see in the trailers for the most part, but this movie just doesn't have the guts to really show a really compelling story for a Captain America movie, especially when it involves Sam Wilson being the main lead role. And it's totally fine if you enjoyed this movie more than I did. I mean, that's the great thing about movies. Everyone has their own opinion about them. But if you enjoyed it more than I did, that's great. But for me, I just couldn't get into it. Maybe if I watch it within a second viewing or maybe months later on, maybe my opinions may change, but for what I got and what I got to see, just feels like, I've seen better quality Marvel movies and this just wasn't it. And don't even get me started on that post-credit scene. Normally these credit scenes are at least fun to watch. This one was just exposition dump for no reason, show and don't tell, and it just kind of feels bland. Maybe the rose-colored glasses are finally coming off and I'm starting to realize some of the bullcrap that Marvel has been releasing, or I'm just a concerned Marvel fan who really hopes to see high-quality MCU films. But hey, I still remain hopeful because we do have the Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four movie that are coming out this summer. I really hope they stick the landing, because if not, then I'm really going to be more concerned than what I am today. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and my review of Captain America Brave New World. And of course, the questions that I mentioned, definitely leave your comment down below. I love to respond to you guys and just have a really good conversation. But I'll catch you guys on the next video. Have a great week. Keep watching movies and I'll catch you very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.